Okay, good morning, students. Today we will take the topic heat. I hope that ma'am has taken one or two classes around it, but let us go once again from the beginning. Now, first and the foremost thing, what do you understand by heat? Now, heat is a form of energy which gives us a sensation of warmth or coldness. Now, if heat is withdrawn from body, it will feel if the heat is withdrawn from the body, the body becomes cold. And if heat is supplied to the body, then body becomes warm. So, for example, a nail polish remover, it is a very common thing which you people have at your home. Just take a drop of nail polish remover, or that is called thinner also, and just put it at the top of your hand. What happens? The thinner quickly absorbs the heat from your hand and evaporates, and you will feel cold over there. Now, during winter, we know that so as to make ourselves warm, we sit in front of a heater. The heater, that is element is over there, which is at a high temperature. It transfers heat towards your body, and your body absorbs heat and you feel warmth. Now, heat energy is also known as thermal energy, and we know that the sun is the main source of heat energy for us. Now, heat energy can also be obtained by burning fuels. Either you burn a wood or any other petroleum product. Furnaces also, electric heater. Now, as heat is a form of energy, it comes with the purview of interconversion of energy from one form to the another form. Say in electric iron, say electric press also, you know that the electrical energy is converted into heat energy, and then you press the clothes. Then electric geyser, which we usually use in winter season so as to get the warm water. Electric bulb in which the electrical energy is converted into heat and light energy. So we see that there are many electrical appliances in which the electrical energy is converted into heat energy. Now, since it is a form of energy, the SI unit of energy is Joule. Whenever it is asked what is the SI unit of heat energy or any kind of energy, the SI unit of energy, any kind of energy, is Joule, whose symbol is J. But other unit which we use for the heat energy is calorie. Now, what is calorie? It is an amount of heat energy required to raise structure of 1 gram of water from 14.5 degrees centigrade to 15.5 degree centigrade. Now this is a very important definition, students, and you have to learn it. That what is calorie? It is an amount of heat energy. Say take 1 gram of water. So how much heat energy should be given to that 1 gram of water so that its temperature rises by 1 degree centigrade. 14.5 to 15.5 degree centigrade is only 1 degree centigrade. Now your obvious question will be there, sir, why 14.5 to 15.5 degree centigrade? Only 1 degree centigrade can be taken. But the thing is that the expansion of water till 14 degrees centigrade is not uniform. So we will not be able to judge how much heat energy is given to the body so as to raise its temperature through 1 degree centigrade. So this is a particular definition or perfect definition. This you have to learn it, whether it is given in your book or not. Let me see. Okay, in your book it is written 1 degree centigrade, but you people have to learn it that it is an amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water from 14.5 to 15.5 degree centigrade. Now 1 calorie is equal to 4.186 joule or approximately 4.2 joule. Now bigger unit, 1 kilocalorie. Kilo means 1000. Kilometer, that is 1000 meter. Kilogram, that is 1000 gram. In the same way, 1 kilocalorie means 1000 calorie. Okay, students, now we come to the second point. Our sense of touch does not give us the idea whether the body is hot or a cold. Say you can do a very simple experiment at your home. You need to take 3 buckets, small buckets. In one bucket fill ice cold water, in one bucket normal water, and in the third bucket a little warm water. Now what you do, first you put your hand in a ice cold water and then put it in a normal water. So you will feel that normal water is warmer. Take out your hand from it, dry it properly, and again now put your hand in warm water and then put in the normal water. You will feel that the normal water is cooler. Although at one instance when you are coming from the ice cold water to the normal water, you are feeling that the normal water is warmer. But when you are coming from the warmer water to the normal water, you are saying that the normal water is cooler. So our sense of touch does not give us the idea whether the body is hot or cold. So for that we define a new term that is called temperature. Now it is the degree of hotness or coldness of a body. It just shows the degree of hotness or a coldness of a body. It does not tells us. It does not tells us the amount of heat contained in a body. It is just a potential which tells us the direction of flow of heat. That is, heat always flows from high temperature to low temperature. For example, let us consider a small metallic ball of iron, or some small ball of iron A, which is in a contact with a very large ball of the same material, that is iron B. Say the temperature of A is 45 degrees centigrade and temperature of B is say 40 degree centigrade. Now, no doubt about it, the amount of heat contained in B will be much more than the heat contained in A, because the mass of the B is much more than the mass of the A. Still, the heat will flow from A to B, because A is at higher temperature and B is at lower temperature. So the temperature, it just shows the degree of hotness or a coldness of body. It does not tell us about the amount of heat contained in a body, but it is just a potential which tells us the direction of flow of heat. That is, heat always flows from high temperature towards low temperature. Now, SI, unit of temperature, is Kelvin. Other units are degree centigrade, and degree Fahrenheit. Okay, a simple relationship is there between Kelvin scale and degree Celsius. We say that T Kelvin is equal to T degree centigrade plus 273. Say, for example, if the temperature is given 27 degrees centigrade, and if we need to convert it into Kelvin, so T Kelvin will be 27 plus 273, that is 300 Kelvin. Or if temperature in Kelvin is provided to say 400 Kelvin and you need to convert it into degree centigrade, so 400 Kelvin T plus 273, it's a simple mathematical problem, plus 273 will be transposed to the other side. 400 minus 273 is equal to T, or T is equal to 10 minus 3, that is 7, 9 minus 7 is 2, and 3 minus 2 is 127 degree centigrade. Now, since we know that our sense of touch does not tells us about the warmth or the hotness or the coldness of the body, so we need an instrument to measure the hotness or a coldness of body. And I know that each and every one of you know the name of that instrument. Yes, you are right. That is called thermometer. Okay. This figure shows a simple diagrammatic representation of a mercury thermometer. Now in mercury thermometer, first we take around about a little bit more than 1 meter rod, glass rod, which have a very fine bore in it, that is called capillary. This is the very fine bore in this, between the whole glass rod, a very fine bore where the mercury will rise on gaining the heat, by gaining the heat. So the important parts are, the first one is the bulb. The bulb is filled with mercury, and as per the room temperature, we will see that the temperature is between 15 to 20 degree centigrade. It's a normal room temperature. How the mercury thermometer is designed? First, we take a glass tube which has a very fine bore, and then we fill it with mercury, and then we seal it at the top. Now, first we find the lower fixed point. These graduations are marked later on. First we find the lower fixed point. As soon as the mercury is filled and this is sealed, so what we do, we put this thermometer on ice, melting ice, pure ice in fact, matlab the ice which is made up of distilled water, and that melting point of ice of distilled water at normal pressure is 0 degree Celsius, and which we mark as lower fixed point. And then we take a beaker, fill it with distilled water, and then we warm it. As soon as the water starts boiling and the steam is coming out, then we put that thermometer over there, and mercury rises, and we get the upper fixed point. Now, from the lower fixed point to the upper fixed point, we distribute in 10 equal parts, 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, and then again between 50 to 60 we divide it into 10 equal parts so as to measure the mercury thermometer in a nearest integral value. Now, lower fixed point, the melting point of the pure ice at standard atmospheric pressure is taken as the lower fixed point. This people have to remember and learn. Upper fixed point, the boiling point of a pure water in standard atmospheric pressure. Standard atmospheric pressure, that is a normal pressure, 760 millimeter of mercury or 1 atmosphere. Now, there are the two activities shown in your book, that the marking the lower fixed point on a thermometer and marking the upper fixed point on the thermometer. Now you have to suspend the thermometer as shown in the figure to the stand such that the bulb of the thermometer is fully immersed into ice pieces. Now these ice pieces are made up of distilled water. Within 10 to 15 minutes, the temperature of the mercury falls to 0 degrees centigrade. When mercury level in the thermometer stops falling and becomes steady for the few minutes, mark that point as 0 degrees centigrade. Similarly, suspend the thermometer in a round bottom flask containing boiling water so that the bulb of the thermometer is slightly above the water level and is in continuous contact with the steam only. Within 10 to 15 minutes, the mercury thermometer temperature rises and becomes 100 degrees centigrade. The mercury level in the capillary tube of the thermometer will rise, and when the mercury level stops rising further and becomes steady for the few minutes, mark the point as 100 degrees centigrade. It is called the upper fixed point or the steam point. Now the space between the lower and upper fixed point is divided into 100 equal parts. Thus each part represents 1 degree centigrade. First we divide it into 10 parts, then each part is divided into again 10, 10, that means 10 into 10, 100 parts. Now, why mercury is used as a thermometric liquid? The first and the foremost thing, mercury is a good conductor of heat. That means it quickly draws the heat from the substance and passes and then expands very quickly. Second, mercury does not stick to the glass. As you people must have observed that fill a glass with the water and then drop all the water, you will see that some of the water droplets are clinging inside the walls of a water tumbler. But if you put a mercury in a glass and then pour it out, all the molecules of the mercury will go out because it does not stick to the glass. They have more cohesive forces as compared to the adhesive forces. Third and the most important point, it can be obtained in pure state. That is, they are least susceptible of impurities. Now fourth, mercury is an opaque and shiny liquid. It makes us to read the thermometer easily. Okay students, in the next class we will derive a relationship between the three scales, that is the Kelvin, degree centigrade and degree Fahrenheit. And please student, do not forget to Google form, because your attendance is entirely dependent upon that Google form. After this I will post a link of the Google form which you all have to attempt. Thank you beta.